What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Championliving podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we have a very special guest on, Bailey Dombroski. She is Red Light Management's own. And Lainey,
Yeah, man.
you're Lainey Wilson's day-to-day manager as well, right?
I am. Yeah.
So this
One
is
time.
it's awesome. It's a huge step out of our normal realm of who we usually get to interview and talk to. So we're excited for this, and you've already helped me in the past with some social media stuff. So I'm excited to provide and have you provide some good information to rodeo athletes and kind of give them the down low on what's going on in social media, because all three of us try really hard, but yeah, we're not doing so well.
At least you try. I mean,
Oh, we
truly,
try hard.
There are some who just avoid it and like run for the hills. So at least you try.
I've been there. That was how I started at running from.
Right.
And there's still times where I'm like, I don't care this week. I am not doing it.
And to be frank, that's kind of in my motto with working with artists or any sort of client is, if that's the week that you feel that way, then just don't post. Because my biggest thing is, if you're going to look back in 30 days and say like, I wasn't proud of how I showed up because I wasn't in the headspace, then like, don't show up. Like, I'd rather you be your best self and you're proud of what you put on the internet, because unfortunately it does live forever. That, you know, like if you're like, I'm just not here right now, then it's like, well, go make space to be here later. Like if you force yourself, you're not going to say anything that you probably genuinely meant in the first place.
That's gold. I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you balance that with like the if it's not perfect, I'm not going to post it.
Oh gosh,
mentality. So like that's like two ends of the spectrum. But like how do you know when you're being a pansy because of you don't feel like it, or you just don't want to?
Well, we're now being taught, right? Like we're in the day and age that it's like the less perfect, the better, which is awesome. But no one was taught that. Like we weren't taught that in school. Like you need to make perfect grades, and like artists weren't taught to like be able to say what they want uncensored. They were being told like, hey, make sure you say it this way with this tone with this. So with socials, I'm like, this is your one way to control your narrative. And it is the one way, like public relations, you know, publicists are going to ask you for that one line that, you know, whether it's about your album or whatever your art craft or your job is, they're going to ask you for like one or two lines of like to sum it all up. But it's like, you guys do what you do because you love it for all aspects of what it is. Artists build a record because 1 through 12 songs meant something, not just song 1 and 2.
Right.
So social media is your way of doing that. So the way I explain it, which no one loves to hear, is I'm like, hey, I don't need you to always put makeup on, or I don't need you to always look perfect, because people now are being taught to care about the human first and the creator second. And so if you're going to show up for your people, like they want to know that you're just, it sounds so cliche, but like that you are just like them. And especially for, you know, a musician, like you're not going to trust an artist if you're not trusting what you see. Like if you don't like them as a person, you probably, no matter if you like that song or not, are going to really listen to them in the long run, or listen to what they have to say, because they didn't show up and feel authentic, or they didn't, you know, and you're not going to be able to raise a cup of tea. Like we're just not, that's not a thing. But I think for me, like, yeah, sometimes you need to show up a little bit more professional than others. Like I'm not going to tell you to be drunk and get on your social media, but I do think like showing you have a good time is cool, and showing you are a human and a creative or whatever your job is, like it has to be a balance. Now, no one loves when I say that half the time, because they're like, well, but what if I say something and it messes up, or, you know, it lives forever? And I'm like, well, did you mean what you said? Because if you mean what you say, you can always defend it. But again, it goes back to, if you weren't in the space to be on that phone anyway, then why were you on your phone? Like, I'm not the digital person who ever told my artist to be on it if they didn't want to. Like if they called me and they were like, I don't want to post, I'm like, okay. Like you're still a human. Like if I don't want to post, I don't post. So why should I make someone else do that?
No, that's a good way.
And it is important to post, don't get me wrong, but I think it is a place of understanding where you are, where your capacity is.
I think that I just had one quick thing. Like I love what you're saying, and I think it seems like a difference in industries is that so much of our like clientele comes from whether we're in front of them or not. Whereas like an artist has other streams, you know, of like they're number one, they're producing music. Sure, they're going to be in front of people on social media where they can, you know, people get to know them and so on and so forth. But if we don't, sometimes we run into the creative blocks of like, if we don't post, typically speaking, we don't get clients. And so it's like we have a whole nother battle of like, I don't really feel like posting, but I also like, I need to, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes I cross that line. Anyway, I don't want to dive into the
No.
problems of remote coaches and social media, but anyway,
Yeah.
that was just kind of like a,
No, that's a great
Yeah.
point. And in those points too, like I've had clients in the past who aren't artists, who don't have living radio singles, or who won't, you know, like you can't find them on Spotify. Like, and I think my thing there is like the week that you feel, I feel like it's somewhat of a strategy, right? Because you guys do need clients, and you do need people to recognize your face and to come in and want to work with you. But I think my strategy on that for some people is, okay, that week that you feel really great about it, let's plan a shot list of like 15 to 20 deliverables, depending. Maybe it's 10 to 12, whatever you have the capacity for, whatever you're doing that week, that you're active or you're doing your best work that you want people to see, because most likely that's going to be what you want recorded anyway. Then like bank those, and that week that you're kind of just like not in the headspace, like you have that content living somewhere that you can just put up and it doesn't take anything out of you. And so that is my best strategy on those days for people, is like, okay, perfect, let me get a shot list together. You know, like there's a calendar coming up and I see that you have 5 events or you have these clients come in or whatever. Let's make sure those days are best for getting content, so that next week when you probably are tired and done with this, there's still something to live. You don't always have to be on.
Yep.
That's
Because
smart.
no one's on all the time. Like you guys didn't get into this because of social media, right? Like that is the last thing you gave 2 craps about when you did this, but you understand the importance of it. And I think that you still have to honor your craft while you still be like, you're able to sell your craft, and you have to sell who you are. And, you know, like I know as somebody who, you know, looks for workout places and looks for people to instruct me or whatever, if I don't like you, I'm not working with you. Like, and I don't get to look at those like those instructors' Instagrams, and you guys do have the up and up. I mean, I guess I could, but you guys have a cool realm that people do look at it and they're going to want to work with you because of your personality. Right.
Yeah.
And that's something too of let it live, but also be strategic about it. Like I said, like just don't always feel like you have to be on.
Yeah. I love that.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. I'm going to switch up how we were going to do this. I want to get to know all about what you do, but I'm going to switch that to the end because we're already on a roll about all this stuff.
Okay,
And it's
cool.
good. So a question I had was, I love that you said, you know, there's a lot of people that are just don't want anything to do with social media. And we see this a lot when we're putting on our optimal performance academies. We have young men come in, 18 to 23 years old. They want to be professional bareback riders, professional athletes. And like you can guess, and like you said, that social media is the last thing on most of their minds. And for us, when we look at this, it's such low-hanging fruit and such a great way to get out there, right? And something to do and to get your brand out there and who you are. Like you said, it's your record. Like it's your way to put that out there. So how important would you think, or you may know this for a fact, is it when it comes to attracting sponsors to have a presence in social media as an athlete?
Oh, I mean, I think I'm just going to say it's incredibly important. I think that you as a person, right? Like the PR comes in, like the way that you represent yourself on and off socials is what's going to first get you that brand deal, or that partnership or that sponsorship or whatever the case may be. But I mean, more than ever right now, everyone's looking at numbers and everyone's looking at what the return's going to be. And because here's the thing, they're going to give you free product, they're going to pay you, but they want to know that the return is there for themselves as well. Makes sense. They're also a business. And I think if clients looked at it as like both are a business, you are a brand, they are a brand, and there is an expectation on both ends. But sponsorships are looking to see like, how do you represent yourself on socials? Are you saying things that you're not supposed to? How do you look like you care about your craft? Are you active? Because a lot of these sponsorships are going to ask you for 10 Instagrams a month, like a year, or however long your thing is, or they're going to need stories, or they're going to need, a shoot day with you. Like they're going to need these things because for them, our generation, our life right now is visually pleasing. It is consumption by visual. And that is the way they are selling their product. And so you are now a part of their product, which in my head, the way that you shift that as a person who doesn't want to do socials, but you're getting these awesome, sponsorships, is look at it enough that your story meant enough to these humans that they want to share it. Don't look at it as like a tit for tat. It's they care enough about what you're doing to share it on their own, because it's two different demographics. And two, it gives you more, more eyes, more people to care. But it's incredibly important. I mean, we're seeing it left and right where it's like, that is the number one thing when you get a sponsorship, a brand deal. It's what are the social ask? What are the video concepts? What are the creative concepts? What is expected of that artist or that creative or that athlete? And again, I mean, it just becomes another part of your story. Because if all these brands are just trusting that, their brand can be in your hands, then that's a big deal,
Yeah.
And so I think the way that you shape your social media, yes, do it for you, but also do it because, I mean, I just went to Houston Rodeo. There are little boys everywhere, and I know they're looking at these older guys who are doing what they want to do. And it's like, how do they know it's possible without seeing that it's possible, right? And that is going to rodeos, that is doing all these different things. But like, we're in a day and age where these kids are looking at TikTok and they're looking at these things visually on their phones. And so it's like, if that little boy who, is now in the rodeo could have known that at 5 years old it was possible, like, give it to him. Give him that up that you maybe didn't have. And that goes back to brand deals, because a lot of these brand deals are like, we want to tail it to people that maybe don't know who you are. It just gives you another, like, one brand deal leads to 2 brand deals, and that leads to all the things that you probably want in your back pocket.
Yes.
And your front pocket. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a fact.
Your
That's
front
a
pocket.
fact.
let's be real.
That's
So
a fact.
Well, piggybacking off of Doug's question, so like when we do these optimal performance academies, that's really the only time that we ever kind of talk about social media. So like we'll have a room full of 15 to 20 guys. We say like, who wants sponsors? Everybody raise their hand. Who uses their social media? Maybe one raises their hand. Who doesn't have a social media account? 2 of them raise their hand. Who hasn't posted in the last 6 months? Everybody else raises their hand. So like now they understand how important it is. How do they start? Like, what's step number 1?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think step number 1 is finding what makes you excited about what you do. And then, because whatever it makes you excited, whether that be the training or whether that be the result, most people are going to say the result, but you never know. Like, I think understanding what makes you excited, because that's what's going to translate the most and what's going to get you excited to post about it, right? Like, if I told you, here's a shot list at the beginning of everything, you're like, this is work, I don't want to do it. But if you're in the middle of doing something exciting, now to remind you to pick out your phone, like, do I tell my artists, like, hey, like, pick up your phone when you're winning a Grammy? Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's not, I want you to be present. And that's the difference. And that's what people are going to argue with you on is, well, when I'm doing something that I love, I want to be present for it. I am the number 1 champion of being present for something. But I think once you're in it, give yourself a little time to then remember it. And the only way to remember things these days is by going back and look on your phone. So like, if you like as coaches, like if you're able to tell these guys, hey, yes, enjoy it, but then I want you to remember it. And by remembering it, pull out your phone for literally 10 seconds, because everyone's attention span is about 20. So give them 10 and then build on it. But like, I think the way to start is to recognize what makes you excited and what you love about what you do. And then you guys just teaching like, hey, take out that phone for like 5 seconds in that moment after it's all done and record your reaction to it. Make it more like a moment of like, you can show yourself when the times get tough. Or I don't know if some of these guys have kids, but like, how cool would it be to be able to like send that video, like whatever you would send back to your family or something of the sort, like whatever, however you share in those moments with those people, let it be a thing that you share with people worldwide, because it's going to make a difference. But I think the way to start is to change the narrative in your mind. because right now it's another job. And it's like, sure, it is another job. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it is. That's why people have digital managers. That's why people have content capture,
Yeah,
that's why people have these tools now, because it is in itself another job. So if they don't have the means to hire that, if you do, I recommend it. Like, even if it's like a part-time person to come and film for you, or, if the festival has content and they're able to give you the extra, the raw footage, whatever that looks like, or the rodeo, or, I mean, there are 50,000 photographers at rodeos. Like, is there a way to work on that together of like, hey, I would love the extra footage, we'll give you credit, where it's out of their hands for a second, but then the results show. And everybody who is any sort of athlete is a results driven person. They want to see that their hard work paid off. So if it's a way of utilizing other people's talent and giving them credit to see the results, to then show like, oh, it actually, it works, then do it that way. Like, there's just different ways to start, but I don't think I would ever admit, like, don't start by being like, I have to do these 5 things because I need to be active on TikTok daily and I need to have a story a day. Like, that will fail you. You will set up yourself for failure.
Absolutely.
So just start by using resources around you, or by first just admitting that you have fun with what you do. And then in those moments, take out your phone or send something to your kid and then save that video and then put it on your stories. Like, just make it easy on yourself, because it's not an easy thing.
That's awesome advice. But making it fun, I think, is the most important thing. And also, that imposter syndrome sneaks in with people, where they think that people don't want to see what they're doing. People don't care what, their training looks like. And that's just, again, you got to shift that mindset and realize, hey, dude, if you really want to be a professional rodeo athlete, that's pretty badass. Like, people want to know about that.
100%.
How do you, and there's really no information, or hasn't been until now. Guys, we're starting to see guys almost like vlog their entire experience out on the road. So we've got a couple bareback riders that are doing it, which has been cool to watch. There's Logan and Paul pointed out this saddle bronc rider to me. He is from Australia.
Will Reynolds is his name.
Okay.
He grew to 50,000 followers in 2 months just by literally posting what he's doing. And it's just waking up in his van, and it's cool. It's awesome. It's cool to see. It's real life, and people are loving it. So I think people need to simple it down, right?
This is prime time. I'm just saying this for your industry.
Absolutely.
Because right now, the Western way of life, and you will hear Lainey say it in interviews, you will hear, like, you're watching it in music, you're watching it in TV shows, the phenomenon of Yellowstone, right? Their Western way of life is so relevant that this is the time that, like, that let it shine. Like, do your thing, because y'all, the amount of people at Houston Rodeo from so many different backgrounds that you would be like,
oh, I know.
You come to rodeo? Like, and it's not anything of the sort, but it's just like, there's so many different age demographics, and it's so cool to watch because everyone is so intrigued by it, you know? And I'm interested. I mean, and this is, to going back to what you're saying, is like, people want to see, like, they want to see your training. I'm going to be honest, this is not the same. I was not looking at this type of training, but for me, if I'm going to look to go sign up for a new class, I literally go on their Instagram and I click through their different videos showing what they do in the class, so that I am mentally prepared when I walk in to know what I'm getting myself into. Because if I look at it and I'm like, I'm not in the headspace to do that type of workout today, then I won't sign up for it. Or I will, because I need the challenge. So I think we are people who do look at people who are training. And I'm like, I do want to know what that looks like, because these guys who have no idea where to start, there are people who, like this guy, Will, like you're saying, he's showing his entire life. Like, because it is fascinating. There are people on TikTok who are living out of a van who are getting millions of views because it's a different way of life. It is an escape a little bit. The Western way of life, everyone wants the peace. Everyone wants the nitty gritty. Everybody wants the, like, there's something about it right now that everyone is like, wait, can I be a horse ride? Like, I mean, and it's like, no, probably not. But, like, you could try, like, go for it. But there is a cool aspect right now of show people what you're doing. Like, I'm fascinated by how people train for some of this. Like, watching it and watching it happen. And I'm like, how do you physically do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could never, but I want to know.
Yeah.
Because it's just fascinating. So I think, I mean, yeah, I go back to like the things that you think no one cares about are probably the things that everyone cares about. I mean, I've said it to artists. I'm like, can you, like, when you go to the UK, can you show me what you ate? And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Because then when your fans go to the UK, they're going to order exactly what you ordered because
Mm.
it's just what it is. Like, people, I mean,
Mm.
we all do it. You see recipes online and you make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. You're an influencer in your own way. And you
Yep.
influence people with the things that you post. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. It's so simple. Really is. Just start doing the thing.
And I never want to discredit. It's so simple, but it's really not because it's
yeah.
a headspace part, right?
It
And
is.
it's a headspace. And the action items of it, easiest. Get your phone
Yes.
out, hit record, do your thing. It is the headspace to know that you have to show up in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to mindset shift when you're present.
Mhm.
And I don't think that that's easy. And that does take time. But I think it
Practice.
just has to start somewhere. And if you want a brand deal, it has to really start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
We
with that.
kind of we kind of fell in between. This is somewhat related. We kind of fell in between like the generations of life. And
Mhm.
I have a lot of close friends that are 5 years older than me that when I say like shoot content, they think I'm using a gun. And then I
Right.
have people that are 5 years younger than me that don't know how to have conversations in person.
Mm.
They only know how to communicate. We kind of fell right in that gap, and it makes it difficult for us. But for these younger guys, especially, like they're growing up, a lot of them with cell phones in their hands. They have such resources and access to be able to build this. And I like to tell a lot of guys when they're like not sure what to post, there are people out there, groups of guys that don't rodeo, that dance, and that they're just like, and they have 6-figure contracts with Western
Mhm.
clothing
Oh.
companies.
Yes.
It's in absolute insane, but yet you don't have anything of value. Come on,
Right.
dude. Like if those
Mhm.
guys can have a contract because of what they've invested, all they did was they goofed off, they got out and they filmed it, right? Like
Mhm.
that is it like you said, it's simple but not easy to
Right.
change the headspace
Yes.
around it. But rodeo athletes have so much to offer.
Mhm.
Not just sponsors, but just the general public. And like
Yeah.
you guys have said, I think.
Well, no one gets into what you guys are doing because it's easy,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
No one does it because it's easy, but you do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And I think with socials, like, and it's hard work. Like, it is, what you do is not easy, but you love it. It's hard work, and it's how you cross the finish line because it's a job or it's a craft.
Mhm.
Social media is a craft, and it's a thing that you have to build. It is not easy, and you have to train.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing. It's a mindset. It's a different part of the brain. But I mean, I used to say all the time, like when we would plan things for our, like, you know, creatives of any sort, if I said, hey, we're going to go do a content capture day, they looked at me like, abso-freaking-lutely not. Like, I am not going to go and just like have a day of the phone in my face. And so my biggest thing was, okay, we're going to call it a hang. We're going to just go hang.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the golf course. And I want to see you forget I'm here. And I'm going to go in the back of the wherever. And I'm just going to film. Because no matter what, if you are genuinely in a space that you love, your genuine spirit comes out. And the way that you interact with your buddies, the way that you interact with your people, easy peasy. Because I'm not here recording. I'm here just having fun. I'm hanging.
You're
And
fly on
so
the wall. Yeah. That's cool.
yeah. And like, you know, your phone's on, but like, you don't know if my phone's recording or not. Like, I'm kind of just hanging here looking for the moment that's important. And so that is something when you say like people, or when you say capture content, it's like, what does that even mean? And it's like, what if we kind of just phrase it as like, hey, we're going to go do what you love. And there might be some videos after, like, because it again goes to that mindset shift. But then those who are growing up on social media, I'm like, you have every tool to become a millionaire. Like,
Quick.
it is absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
Like affiliate links, like that's a whole nother thing that you guys could probably bank on is, you know, what you use for your clients, or what gear do you use, or what clothes do you wear, or anything of the sort. Like, it is a really cool space to be in right now. as hard as it is, because there are so many beautiful ways of making an income and making a difference. Because making a difference now equals somewhat making an income, right? Like if you influence people enough because you post and people start to care, they're going to care about whatever shirt you just wore in that video, because maybe it breathes correctly for like the heat, because a lot of you guys are in the heat or whatever. Like, it's weird to say, but it's like, if you do it in a way that you genuinely are yourself, I'm going to want everything that you're selling me.
Absolutely. You know,
And
speaking of well-breathing shirts, we got to thank our sponsors, HOOEY Brands. You can check them out at getyourhooey.com. Use our discount code Championliving, all one word, going to save you 10% at checkout. They just released their new spring line, and legit, their sole long sleeve shirts. You're getting ready for summer rodeo. They do breathe well. All the guys, we all wear them in the summer. They're the best things ever.
Yeah,
I wear
the
them.
most comfortable long sleeve shirt ever.
So check them out. Getyourhooey.com. We're back. You teed me up perfect. I had to go with it.
So welcome. Now, I'm gonna go buy a shirt. You influenced it. I'm gonna buy a shirt.
It's awesome. No, they really are such good shirts, and their new spring line is sick. Check them out. You'll really like them. Okay, so we have a strategy now. We're sharing everything, our whole process of everything that we're doing, not just our rides, not just rodeo, but showing who we are as persons, being good ambassadors for the sport of rodeo. We have the attention of sponsors. What platforms do we do this on? Like, is there a better one, or do we pick our favorite one that we enjoy the most, or how does that work?
What an interesting question to ask right now, as the world might be shutting down TikTok. We don't know.
I know. I just saw this. And
So
I just had my first good post on TikTok, and I'm like, no, stop, wait.
I know. And it's crazy, because I'm like, oh God, so many people make their income on there. But, out of my hands, whatever it is, cool. But at the moment, I don't know when this will come out, but at the moment, I will say TikTok. It's a beautiful generator of, one, followers and people who care. And two, with TikTok Shop being a thing, and with different creators being able to collaborate and build community, that in itself is great, because just like you said, there are these guys, right, who are dancing, but they've all seemed to find each other. And then they all become this massive brand in themselves that people are literally hiring to go to concerts, to go to things and make. They literally are their own publicists at this point. Like, you used to call people, and you used to call cowboys and indie, and you still do, because those are incredibly different consumers, and you should call those too. But like, we're calling influencers, because there are 100 million people on one person's site. That is the way that people consume now. So TikTok kind of breeds that community if you find it and you invest in it. Instagram is tried. I mean, it just is the thing. I mean, because the beautiful thing about Instagram is that TikTok has done, but isn't known for as much, is static, so photos, and you can do reels, right? So there's two different type of content that can live, where TikTok is just video forward.
That's why I like Instagram.
Yeah, and I mean, you need both. Like, you're not gonna always have videos, and that's okay. So I think those two are definitely the ones that, and I feel like generationally, those are the two. Facebook is a little bit more for, I feel like more business, right? Now. Yeah. And more of like my mom.
Like our moms and dads. Yeah. Like my grandma was on Facebook. Yeah.
There's a demographic for it, because they're the ones that are buying the tickets for their kids, right? Or they're the ones who are able to, you just have to cater to all. I mean, X, I was about to call it Twitter. X is its own. I don't know what's happening. I mean, people use it still.
Do you have to pay to be on Twitter now? Like,
you don't have to pay to be on Twitter. You have to pay to be verified. But it's the same with Instagram.
Same with everything.
Yeah. But yeah. But like, I work with Parker McCullom, and if you look at his X, Twitter, whatever, that is his way of showing you his personality. Like, if you ever just go and watch him, And so like, again, it's one of those things that, like, when I say how to start, find what makes you excited. For him, it's making people laugh and like kind of showing people something through a joke on X or whatever. So I think it's like finding what makes you, and then using whatever platform adheres to that. But visually, TikTok and Instagram are going to be your, like,
most bang for the buck,
really, yeah. And then, I mean, the more that you build it, there are different affiliate links. Like I said, like, I mean, Amazon is in its own realm at the
I need to
moment.
start that. Yeah, I've heard a
You
lot
do.
about that. Yes, that is
Yeah.
that sounds
They
like a
just
place to be.
started a creator branch of it too. So
Yeah.
like there's a specific, I haven't really looked into it a whole lot yet, but yeah, Amazon Affiliates has their own specific thing for creators.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, you link it out on your TikTok, or you have a link in your bio, because like, what if you guys are using certain protein drink, like everything, and then like if you start linking those things and you have people then start paying attention, like that brand might pay attention and like, hey, you keep something's up. So there's just a different, it depends on what your end goal is, right? And
Yeah.
but your end goal is for first of all for people to care. So visually,
Absolutely.
people have to care. So those are the two I'd probably tell you to lean into the most. But don't think that you necessarily have to make video content that looks different for both. Like,
Right.
don't put
yeah.
that on you at first,
Mhm.
right? Like, both and like they can live in both places. Is there tips and tricks for how to make it maybe happen a little bit better on each platform? Sure. But like, don't add extra work to your plate. Just cross post.
Yeah, that's what I've just been mixing, like switching the days that I'm posting. I'm on one, so I'll do Instagram will be one post, and I'll use that post 2 days later on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then just I'll be flipping them back and forth and doing stuff like that.
And secrets out, TikTok, you can literally months later post the same TikToks because no one's going to your feed. Instagram, they go to your feed. No one's going to your TikTok feed. Like maybe if they find you, they'll do it once. But like for the most part, they're on their For You page, So like 5 months down the road, use the same content if you need to, if you're in that space of like, I still need clients to see me, but I'm out for the count, like resurface it, with different captions.
Yep.
And make sure to just hide keywords under the screen.
Smart.
That's the thing.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. SEO, man.
Yeah.
Everybody uses TikTok.
Yeah, that's good info. So once you have people caring, people watching, the next part I think that is really important is actually engaging with those people and answering their questions, commenting back, not just liking it and not saying anything back. I think it's really important to engage with those people that are taking the time to ask you a question or say good job or whatever it is. How important is that for creators?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of like having a friend. If you text them and they don't text you back, are you really going to, like, if they do it enough, you probably are going to stop texting, right? Like, you're going to probably stop engaging. So it's the same kind of thing on socials. Socials start to make people believe that you're their friend. And if you interact with them, and Lord, if you say their name in the comment, it feels personal. It's like anything else. We are people who live on connection. And so, I think, I mean, it is, and it's massive. And there's like the tips and tricks of like, in the first 15 minutes of posting that TikTok, go and comment back on things if there are comments, or go leave your own comment on the video. And for Instagram, make sure you go and respond to some comments, maybe restory some things in the story, because if someone sees that you restored in the story, they feel important. They might actually do it again to you, So like engaging just makes people feel seen, and it makes people feel like you care. And again, we are people who care about people caring. And so engaging, not only does it literally actually analytically help the video's success, it helps longevity of people staying on your journey with you. Right?
Awesome.
Like, people comment back. It's easy. Literally just like, and you don't always have to be in people's DMs by any means, but like, just say like, thanks so much for watching, or love that you love it. What do you want to see next? Right? Because also these people help you make your shot list. They help you make your content calendar.
Absolutely.
And so once you start to have people start to watch, your job becomes a little easier, because, we want to see what Doug, eats. And now he does recipe, right? So like, well, how do you make it? So then it's starting to make content for you. Like, the more you engage, the more your content calendar is made for you.
I've been that's so good, because I literally went through that same thing, what you just explained, asking people for ideas, because I was in a hole and could not. For 3 days I'm sitting there, I can't think of anything. I'm just in this funk, and a just light bulb moment. like, why don't you just ask people on your story what they
Yeah.
want to see? And I put up 4 slides and gave them option A and B. And it was the most interaction I've had on my story in months, the most viewers
Yeah.
I've had on it in months. And on top of that, I got tons of good feedback of what people wanted to see. So these last couple of times that I've been posting this week have been exactly what they've been asking for. One of them did great. One of them not so great. It was actually really sad. I probably haven't been this proud of a piece of content that I made personally in like a year.
That's how that would go.
Yeah, always. And then Logan called it too. I said it to him. He goes, "That's awesome. 8 people are going to see it." I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably right."
You're like, you know what? The thing is, at the end of the day, you're going to do it more because you did something you love.
Yep, I enjoyed it. Yep, and I felt good
And
about
like,
it. No,
you
that's right.
enjoyed it, and like you're excited about it, and so
Yep.
it's like it makes you excited about the platform. Who cares what the other people on the other side think for a second?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there are videos that people send me, and I'm like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they're like, because like look how exciting. Because in their headspace, like the 8 people that like it felt seen by you, so they're gonna keep going.
Yep.
And like, you know, you got music nerds, and I'm like, I have no idea what you just said, but there is a demographic out there for it. So like, whatever in that moment made you excited, like it's gonna make you keep coming back. Like personally as the creator, because you're finding your niche. And so, yeah, I mean, it's literally you ask people what they want. And the more you ask questions, I mean, it's like anything else. We're all talking on a conversation because we're all asking each other questions. So socials are the same. You just don't have the same response time, but it's still important to ask questions because they're going to answer.
Yep.
So it's
building that bond every time you do it, which is what
100%.
social media is all about. Oh, it's awesome info. That is such good advice. I want to get to know you a little bit and hear about your exciting life and how like I've been a part of your world a little bit in my past life, so I get it a bit, but I'm excited for our listeners to kind of get an idea of what it's like to be in artist management and to be on the road and it's funny when I was working with Cody when we'd be out for a lot. I mean, first year I worked for him, he played like 230 shows in the first year. So we were gone all the time. And we just said, we were just rodeoing. We're just out. We're just rodeoing. We'll be back. So it's very similar in that aspect. But how did you get into artist management? How did you get into this whole realm?
So I honestly have only been in artist management for actually, I just celebrated my year on the 10th, the day after Houston Rodeo.
Awesome.
So I've been on Lainey's team for about a year, but we were friends for about 10. So I'm from Louisiana. She's from Louisiana. Two very different parts of Louisiana. I do not have her accent. But she and I knew each other through, seems that everyone in Louisiana finds them like each other if they move to Nashville. But we kind of were doing different things. She was doing the artist songwriting realm. I was doing more of the digital content space for about the last 8 years. And I worked in radio. I worked with artists. I worked in influencer land for a second. I kind of just wanted to dabble my creative self in different aspects of the industry because there are so many different aspects of this industry. And so to be a better person on the other side of working with an artist, I wanted to be able to show up and say, like, I understand the radio part. I understand the tour marketing part. The part I'm still learning is the tour part. I mean, and you know this, it's its own world. Like it really is. And our tour team is incredible and they handle it beautifully. I mean, we did 183 shows last year and did not stop in the midst of everything else going on. And so your team's, you know, it's a unit. So I joined about a year ago, but before that was doing digital for artists like the Parkers of the world, Cole Swindell. I worked at an agency that had Kane and we had, you know, we had UMG artists like Priscilla, John Langston. So we were kind of all over the realm. Loved it, really loved digital, still do, as you can tell. Like it's something that sets me on fire just because I know there's such a disconnect to understanding from anyone why you should do it because, you know, it is annoying. I'm not going to, it's annoying for me to have to post, but like, I understand the importance, but I love meeting people where they're at. And so I think my 8 years, you know, I came from Louisiana, went to college at University of Louisiana at Lafayette. So Ragin' Cajun, stayed home, did my thing, and then moved to town and just like ran. I was like, I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to make no money at first. I just want to say yes to everything because I want the experience. Like I want to understand what it is to be in a room and what that hard work looks like. because all of us understand that. Like it is not easy. It is training. It is putting in the blood, the sweat, the tears, the not going to bed. And so I wanted to learn every aspect of it and know what really set me on fire. And so, yeah, I did multiple avenues of that. And then had always been really interested in what management looks like because I had worked with so many managers. And I was working on teams, but I wasn't in the manager space. And so they were looking for someone, and her managers are a good friend of mine. And we were sitting, and I was like, what do y'all need to know for digital? Like, whatever. And she was like, well, do you want to be a day-to-day? And I was like, what? And this was like right around the time, like Heart Like a Truck was on fire. So they were on like the roller coaster. Yep. And I mean, it wasn't, I mean, for her, she'd been in town for like 12 years at this point. So it's like everything else, the reward is so fulfilling when it takes the hard work. And so we kind of were on that path together of understanding, like we'd see each other and, be like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And for her, it happened. And so, yeah, I day-to-day manage her. So that looks like pretty much your operations, if that makes sense. So from social media, like I help her social person to go over everything we have going on, to brand partnerships, to her calendar, to her interview, her press schedule, to, we have an award show coming up. Here's all the logistics. We have a festival coming up. We have, music coming out. What does that look like? What's the deadlines? What's this? Working with our creative director. So pretty much just the director of operations for a human. And it's a very, very, very busy operation, but a very rewarding one, because like anything else, when you work hard for something and you see it, the fruits of your labor, for her, it's, seeing all these people at Houston Rodeo, 75,000 people.
So cool. Showing
up, singing every word. That's her, like her thing. And for us on the side of management, it's helping someone's dream come true. And you're just a part of that. And it's rewarding, and it's hard work, like she said it at one point, like, if you're going to be a dreamer, you're going to be a doer. And I think that says in any way, shape or form, and whatever job you do, if you're going to dream about it, you better be able to do it, because it doesn't get handed to you. And you both, all of you, know what that means. So yeah, to work with a leader like that is pretty dang great. But yeah, so I kind of oversee that. And then with Parker, I help somewhat still on the digital front.
Cool.
So I still get my little juice of social media more and more on that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So cool. I mean, I feel like I didn't really pick, they picked me, but the two artists who were like, besides Kojo, like I love the Texas, the Western, like I am a Brooks and Dunn, George Strait. Like
real country music. Yeah.
Those are my people. And so to be able to work with artists, that I genuinely listen to and genuinely love as humans, you can't ask for anything better. So
no, you can't.
Yeah.
It makes it so fun. No, I
It
couldn't
does.
agree more.
It does.
Yep. And those are incredible people. Got to hang out with Parker a bunch. He used to open up for Cody when we were going down the road. So that's cool. And I met Lainey way back in the day at the Red Door in Nashville when we used to.
At the Red Door.
Oh yeah.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's amazing.
That's so cool. I love to hear about that. It's again, a different realm than what we're used to, but the lifestyle is very, very similar. So hopefully our listeners. Yeah, it is. It is the same. And hopefully, hopefully our listeners really enjoyed this. And Bailey, thank you so much for coming on this morning. It's been awesome getting to talk to you, and hopefully good to talk again in the future, and hopefully see you down the road.
I know. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you at NFR again.
Dude,
4 days of shows. It's its own rodeo. So,
it's the same for us. We make all these plans, and we're like, yep, we'll see you there. And then 10 days goes by, and we've been in the same town as this person, half a mile away, and haven't seen them. Like,
no, when you stay in like whatever hotel you're in, you're probably staying.
You're there
because it has everything you need. But well, no, thank y'all for having me. It's super cool what you guys are doing, and just know that, like, I say this because y'all have champion, but like super big champion of what you guys are doing. And I think there's such a, like, again, I'll leave it on this. Like, there's such a world where right now where what you guys are doing will make such a huge difference. So, you know, start it wherever, but excited to have talked to you guys about it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Bailey. That's awesome. And guys, until next time, we'll catch you later.